My mother squeezed my hand so tight I felt her pulse. Then she let go, like I had burned her. We were at her wedding reception, surrounded by smiling strangers and flashing cameras. Someone asked, "Is this your son?" She laughed softly and said, "Oh no, I don't have any children." Those words hit harder than a slap. I was 16, standing 3 feet away from the woman who called me her world. In one sentence, she erased me. People nodded politely. The conversation moved on. I felt myself disappear in real time. Growing up, it was just us two. My father left early, so my mother became everything. Parent, best friend, my safe place. We had our rituals, Friday night movies on the couch. Pancakes shaped like animals on Sunday mornings. She'd brush my hair saying, "It's you and me against the world." I believed her with a child's blind loyalty. I thought nothing could break that bond. I was the center of her universe, as she was mine. When she started dating, I tried to be supportive. I told myself she deserved happiness. The first time I met him, he shook my hand instead of hugging me. His smile never reached his eyes. He asked about my grades, my plans, my attitude. It felt less like a conversation and more like an evaluation. Later, I told my mom he made me uncomfortable. She laughed and said I was just being protective. "You'll see," she promised. "He's good for us." Good for us slowly became good for her. After they got engaged, things started shifting in ways so subtle I almost questioned my own sanity. She stopped sitting next to me on the couch. She started canceling our Friday movie nights because we have plans. When I walked into the kitchen while they were talking, conversations would abruptly stop. Once I heard him say, "He's old enough to take care of himself," and my mother didn't argue. I told myself I was imagining it. I told myself love doesn't just disappear. But it wasn't disappearing all at once. It was being peeled away layer by layer. He didn't like that I still called her mommy sometimes. After that, she corrected me the first time it slipped out. "Just say mom," she said, glancing at him for approval. I felt embarrassed, like I had done something wrong. That was the first time I noticed she was looking at him before responding to me. The house started to feel unfamiliar. My photos were taken off the living room wall and replaced with engagement pictures. When I asked why, she said they were redecorating. My bedroom was moved to the smaller room at the end of the hall. Because he needed a home office, she framed it as practical. "You don't need that much space anymore." But it wasn't about space. It was about shrinking me. The more distant she became, the harder I tried. I cleaned without being asked. I got straight A's. I stayed out of trouble. I thought if I was easy enough, quiet enough, impressive enough, she'd look at me the way she used to. Instead, I became background noise. Sometimes I'd catch him watching me with this expression. I couldn't quite read, like I was an obstacle. One night, I overheard them arguing in their bedroom. My name came up. His voice was sharp. "You have to choose what kind of life you want," he said. I pressed my ear to the door, heart pounding. Her voice was softer. "He's my son." There was a long pause. Then he said, "He's almost grown. Don't let him hold you back." The next morning, she barely spoke to me. The wedding planning consumed everything. I wasn't asked to be part of it. No suit fitting, no family photos, no special role. When I asked where I'd be sitting during the ceremony, she hesitated. "We'll figure it out," she said quickly, then changed the subject. That hesitation told me everything. On the day of the wedding, I stood in the corner of the venue while guests arrived. People kept asking if I was a cousin, a neighbor, someone's friend. I laughed awkwardly and said, "I'm her son," saying it felt like claiming something that was already slipping through my fingers. Then came the moment that rewired something inside me forever. We were posing for pictures after the ceremony. The photographer gathered family members. "Immediate family first," he said cheerfully. My stepfather pulled his parents forward. My mother stepped beside him. I moved instinctively toward her like I had my entire life. The photographer looked at me and asked, "And you are?" Before I could answer, my mother spoke. "Oh, he's just with us." She didn't say my name. She didn't say son. She didn't correct the implication that I was nobody. And when the photographer nodded and gestured for me to step aside, she didn't protest. I felt heat rush to my face. My chest tightened so badly I thought I might pass out, just with us, like I was an accessory. A random guest. I stepped back, blinking hard, telling myself not to cry. Not here. Not now. Later, during the reception, someone congratulated her and asked again if she had children. That was when she laughed and said, "Oh no, I don't have any children." It was smooth, casual, effortless, as if I had never existed at all. I waited for her to glance at me, to correct herself, to show some sign that it was a mistake. She didn't. She wrapped her arm around her new husband and leaned into him like that was the only reality that mattered. I left before the cake was cut. That night, I lay in my smaller bedroom staring at the ceiling, replaying her words over and over. "I don't have any children." I tried to rationalize it. Maybe she meant no children together. Maybe she misspoke. But deep down, I knew the truth. It wasn't a mistake. It was a decision. After the wedding, the erasure became official. She introduced me to neighbors by my first name only. No context, no connection. She stopped attending my school events. When I asked if she could come to a parent-teacher conference, she said she was busy. I went alone and told the teacher she was sick. At dinner, conversations revolved around their plans, their vacations, their future. I wasn't included. Once, when I tried to share something about a college acceptance letter I received, my stepfather interrupted and started talking about interest rates. My mom didn't circle back to me. It was like my words evaporated before reaching her. I started spending more time out of the house because being invisible inside it hurt more than being alone outside it. But loneliness followed me everywhere. I questioned my worth constantly. If my own mother could pretend I didn't exist, what did that say about me? Rock bottom came quietly. One evening, I came home early and heard them laughing in the living room. I stood in the hallway listening, hoping for a moment that sounded like the old us. Instead, I heard my stepfather say, "Life's simpler now, isn't it?" And my mother replied, "It really is. Simpler without me." I went into my room and cried in a way I hadn't since I was a child, shoulders shaking, hands over my mouth to keep quiet. I felt completely abandoned, not physically thrown out but emotionally exiled. It would have almost been easier if she had yelled at me. Anger at least acknowledges existence. This was worse. This was absence. So I made a choice. If she could build a life that didn't include me, I would build one that didn't depend on her. I focused on school. I worked part-time jobs. I saved money. I applied for scholarships without telling her. When I got accepted into a college 3 states away with financial aid, I didn't ask for permission. I left a note on the kitchen counter the morning I moved out. It wasn't dramatic, just factual. "I'm leaving. I'll be okay." She didn't try to stop me. College was terrifying and freeing at the same time. For the first time, I introduced myself without hesitation. I wasn't just with anyone. I was me. I made friends who knew my story and didn't treat me like an inconvenience. I built a life piece by piece, independent and real. Years passed. Then one afternoon, I got a call from my mother. I almost didn't answer. Her voice sounded strained. The marriage wasn't what she thought it would be. He had become controlling, isolating her from friends, making financial decisions without her input. The same way he had slowly isolated her from me. "I didn't see it," she whispered. "I didn't realize what I was doing. I didn't say I had tried to tell her. I didn't remind her of the wedding, the photos, the sentence that shattered me." She remembered. I could hear it in the way her voice broke when she said, "I told people I didn't have a child." I don't know why I did that. "I'm so sorry." For the first time in years, she sounded like my mother again, vulnerable, not performative. But I wasn't the same 16-year-old waiting to be claimed. I met her for coffee months later. She looked older, smaller somehow. When she hugged me, I let her, not because I needed it, but because I chose to. There's power in that difference. We talked. Slowly, honestly. She admitted she had been afraid of losing her marriage, so she sacrificed parts of her life that made him uncomfortable, including me. Hearing her say it out loud hurt, but it also set something free inside me. The betrayal had a name now. Fear, weakness, not my unworthiness. I don't know if we'll ever have what we once had. Some things don't fully grow back after they're cut away. But I know this, I exist, I always did. Her denial didn't erase me, it revealed her. When I think about that wedding day now, I don't just remember the humiliation. I remember the moment I realized I would have to become my own anchor. She may have pretended I didn't exist, but I built a life so solid, so undeniable, that no one can ever erase me again. And that is something no one, not even my own mother, can take away.